So, yeah, last night at the O2, it was a very hot ticket, sold out in 20 minutes, apparently. It was the big launch of the F1 season, F175 Live.
It was glitzy.
Oh, it was glitzy.
Yeah, it's a very glamorous sport.
It was aimed maybe at the Drive to Survive market, and apparently Jack Whitehall did say, I can hear the purist groaning already. Jack was the compere. But, you know, yeah, it's a changing face of F1. John Jackson, talkSPORT's F1 correspondent, joins us. He was there. Are you, John?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you doing? I quite enjoyed Jack Whitehall yesterday. I thought he got it. He got the tone right. There was enough Mickey taking to annoy the drivers, but not enough to make a fool of himself.
Yeah, there was a little bit of roasting going on. He was having a pop at some of them. Were they laughing at themselves? Did you notice?
Formula One drivers, on the whole, don't generally take themselves, they take themselves very seriously. So they weren't really laughing along, which has kind of bred a lot of memes today, which a lot of people have been enjoying. But I think Jack Whitehall did his research really well. He was very topical with his jokes, and he took the mickey out of the right people.
He said Lewis Hamilton, he's talking about his fashion sense, peacocking his way through the paddock dressed like a Fortnite character, he said. Very nice. You managed to have a word with Lewis, though, didn't you?
I didn't have a word with Lewis, sadly, no. So Ferrari are actually testing their new car today. It's going around a track in Italy, and Ferrari were there in, I don't want to say the least possible way, but they didn't do any of the media activities. They didn't really do much on the red carpet. Lewis didn't. I mean, Charles Leclerc spoke to a few people, but unfortunately, we were not the lucky few. He spoke to GQ magazine before he spoke to talkSPORT, which I think is a huge insult. And it's going to be having words next time.
Really honest.
Yeah, I mean, they were all looking fantastic. But, Lewis in the red of Ferrari in public for the first time properly at a proper event was the talk. And, when Lewis came out, and they did it in order of where the teams finished last year. So Ferrari were penultimate. And when Lewis came out, he got the best ovation every time he was featured on the screen. He got the best ovation. And actually, a lot of people, once Lewis had been and gone, they all walked out. They were trying to beat the Jubilee line crush as you get out at the O2. So, yeah, Lewis had pretty much the crowd in the palm of his hands.
You are going to bring us a couple of clips from the night, John. So where should we start?
Well, we'll start with Lewis Hamilton, because I didn't speak to Lewis himself, but I did speak to someone that knows exactly what Lewis is going through right now. And Nigel Mansell obviously won the World Championship back in the early 90s, and he'd made a move from Williams to Ferrari. So I spoke to him on the red carpet last night, and he gave me an insight into how he thinks Lewis is going to get on this year.
Well, having been there and done it, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, Ferrari is a dream come true, and Lewis is doing everything right. I mean, Lewis is a complete class act. He's going to be super. He's going to surprise a lot of people this year. Not surprise me, but I think he's going to get the job done. And Ferrari, between him and Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's overdue for winning a championship, or both championships, constructors and that. So the timing of coming together with Ferrari, I think, is monumental. I think it's so exciting.
I think, is he turned up in a fleece there, Nigel?
It was about 2 degrees, and you've got your Lewis Hamiltons looking flash, and you've got people worrying about what they look like. And Nigel just turned up, proper Nigel Mansell style, proper British, just turned up nice and warm. And I respect that. Liam Lawson, one of the other drivers, the Red Bull driver that will be partnering Max Verstappen, also came in kind of like a New Zealand fleece top kind of thing that he would probably wear back home. So he wasn't messing around either. Something to mention with Ferrari is that, the car is going around the track for the first time after they unveiled it last night at the moment in Italy. And I've seen videos already this afternoon of fans, because they always congregate to watch the car go around for the first time. There's unfortunately a few trees in the way of where they're positioned. And there's a video of a guy soaring down one of the trees to cheers from the Tifosi, so they can now see the car going around the track, which probably isn't good for the environment, but it's good for the Ferrari fans. So I won't make an opinion on that.
Talking of Verstappen, George Russell was asked, I saw on the news, about his ongoing spat with him, and he basically brushed it aside and said, that's then, and this is now.
I don't know if he did. He sort of said, "No, I've not reached out to him. I don't plan to."
Oh no, they're never going to be friends.
I thought he kindly kept it going, John, didn't he?
Yeah, I think. I'm sorry, I'm struggling to hear you. He was trying to keep it going by not saying much, was he? He was sort of suggesting, "I'm over it, and I won't be reaching out to him. I don't want to be friends with him." George Russell's got a lot more on his plate this year. He's now the veteran driver at Mercedes with young Kimi Antonelli, his understudy now, not his understudy, but his junior driver alongside him. So for George, he's got to focus on doing what Toto Wolff needs him to do and being that leader in the team now. So I think having spats with Max Verstappen probably isn't where he needs to focus his energies.
Now, look, you're a young man, but I'm sure you're steeped in motorsport, and you were there long before Drive to Survive. So, how do you feel about this? You feel it's good for the sport? I mean, there are people apparently on social media today sort of having a pop at it, saying it was a bit cringy, but the sport has changed, isn't it, post that show? It's big globally. There are more races in the States. The sport's bigger in the States. So you think it's good for the sport, or is there anything that bothers you about it?
Sorry, I struggled to hear you there. Were you talking about the event itself?
Well, I was really talking about how you feel about these sort of glitzy do's now. F1 has changed in the last few years.
Yeah, so do you know what? I can sum this up. I was sat with the media. We were sat in the arena. We didn't have amazing seats. Thankfully, the fans did get the better seats, but there was a chap and his daughter behind, and they said that they'd managed to get seats when I guess they released extra seats. And he was saying that his daughter, who was 14 years old, had got into Formula One through Drive to Survive, and he was a little bit dismayed that he's found that the response to those new fans from some of the more traditional Formula One fans has not been so favourable. And I had a really good chat with him, and I think at the end of it, he was really grateful that someone had listened to him and taken it seriously, because a lot of older fans don't like that Drive to Survive has bred this new type of fan. And this is kind of what this event is aimed at, really. You've got all your heroes there. You get to see the cars. It's a 2-hour, really tight production. You got Jack Whitehall with it, not too many celebrities. It really is all about Formula One. And actually, for those fans, I would say especially that have got into it in the last 5 years since the pandemic, they really enjoyed what they saw. And I think maybe older fans that are frowning upon these younger kids getting into the sport, maybe they just need to sort of take a step back and wonder where this sport is going to keep growing from if you're not encouraging these new fans. And, this chap behind me was saying it was amazing that he could bond with his daughter over something that he loved when he was growing up. So, there was a lot of joy there from his point of view, and that kind of summed up the enjoyment for me. I didn't find it that cheesy. I thought actually Jack Whitehall got the good balance there.
We heard from Oscar Piastri, didn't we? Because one of the sort of byproducts of this new audience is keeping the language under control, even in heated moments over the radio, and the players are being sanctioned for it.
I bet there's not one person that's bothered about it.
No, but I mean, you've got an increased kids audience. They worry about the image of the sport, and Piastri was talking about that, John.
Yeah, so basically the FIA, who govern Formula One, have brought in new rules, and they're trying to cut down on swearing, mainly in things like press conferences and on TV. But obviously drivers talk on their team radios, which now get broadcast, and there are selective processes there, and they are on delay, but they do get broadcast in heated moments. And Oscar was just one of the drivers I spoke to about these new fines and potential points deductions that could come in if they're caught swearing.
I think in the car, you say whatever comes into your head. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to open the radio all the time, but, I think we're going to say what comes naturally. I think outside of the car, it's a fair expectation to be civil and use our words appropriately, but we're athletes doing our thing with adrenaline running, so there's only so much you can do to stop that.
Which driver's going to fall foul of it first?
I don't know. Not me.
Nice one. Good to talk to you, John. Thanks very much. We'll catch up with you during the season. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
John Jackson there, talkSPORT's F1 correspondent. Not long now, is it? A couple of weeks till 3 weeks till the first race in Melbourne, I think it is. So, we'll be right across that with John and our team on the talkSPORT F1 YouTube channel.